I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Letourneau, would you please call attendance?
Yep. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Here.
Dr. Hill.
Here.
Mrs. Lundberg is not with us tonight. Mrs. Pascal. Here. Dr. Rhodes.
Here.
And Ms. Schickman.
Here. It's now time for board member comments. Does anybody have anything to say?
I think we would just like to say thank you, Corey, for all of your many, many years of service to our district.
Thank you guys. It's David's known for a while. It was my first conversation, and then it's letting staff know, and it's all those things. Even in this job, even stepping down is hard. So
Yeah.
Just all the administrators in the building, nobody gets it like they do about how tough this job can be, and you're always anybody that's worked their grain of salt is in this business for kids. And to have that time with students, and I've been at this 25 years. I've been in the district for 18 of those years, and a lot of different positions. And I want to spend the last few years of my career just working directly with kids, because that's, you want to go into that with that passion still in you and that part. So that's where I'm at, and I appreciate you guys and all the support. And also, Jody was asking me, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And that's always the big question. I've been in 3 of the buildings. There's 3 I haven't been in, so that's been over here. The other side over here is I have a passion for middle schoolers that have a lot of behavior stuff, and so that's kind of also in the brain. So we'll see. It's like all the administrators will say, I'll take the kid problems all day long. That kind of stuff. Like, it's hard, but you get it. Where the adults, it's like, there's, for lack of a better term, there's sometimes where you just want to say, get your act together, but we're all in a position where we have to hold our words and those sorts of things. But the kids, you're like, okay, I get why your act isn't together, but we're going to get it together, and we're going to keep working. And so that's where I'm at. I appreciate you guys and all the support over the years and all the relationships I've built. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Tiffany, anything you want to say? Well, I also want to recognize Shannon, because she had a decade of service to the school district, and she's also the one responsible for the cool COVID masks that match the bow ties, and then the bow ties, and then the beautiful knitting. So you're quite a team. Thank you very much for all you do. I would also like to read a quote from one of the board reports for the public. This one comes from the tech department. It's pretty epic. The bottom line is that the Salida School District now uses the same communication platform, WebEx, as Apple and 95% of Fortune 500 companies. We utilize the same paging and mass notification systems that the Pentagon does. Our new network has the same capabilities and architecture as Stanford, MIT, and Oxford universities. Once we transition to our new Palo Alto firewalls, used by Harvard, 8 of the 10 largest banks in the world, and 9 of the 10 Fortune 10s this summer, the Salida School District technological infrastructure and backbone will be world-class from end to end. Thank you, Josh and Jake, for doing that on a nickel budget. Back there teching. Yes, okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to public comments. If you haven't filled out your purple form, it's over here on the desk, and you can bring it up to me in the meantime. Let's go ahead with Mike Lamont, CBT Communication. Reminder, you have 3 minutes. Make it efficient. You just own the arena. I beg your pardon. Ready? Go.
I'm here representing myself as a parent, as a teacher, as a coach, as a co-president for the SCA, and as a CBT member. I just want to talk about the CBT process that starts in the next couple of weeks. And I want to bring up the fact that since the restructure, we haven't necessarily come up with a clear communication plan between the CBT and the Board of Education. And I want to throw something out there that we continue our collaborative nature by coming up with a way, coming up with a mean, coming up with a norm that is both or all effective, efficient, and accurate. There's so much misinformation being thrown around this place right now, not this place, but this place. The person-to-person communication at this point is going to be key. We don't want this us versus them, they said, we said, I said, we need, that sort of thing. And the way to avoid all that is to make sure that we are communicating clearly and effectively and accurately again. The idea is, how do we do that? Our first meeting is the 23rd with our orientation. Our first real meeting, getting into the nuts and bolts, is the 29th. And I would love to, between now and then, try to come up with a plan for how is it that we're communicating back and forth, either after meetings, before meetings, or what are we doing in the meantime in between meetings. So as CBT, as SCA, I would love to throw this out there that we are trying to continue to build that bridge, continue to work together as we have in the last few years to make this relationship that much stronger, knowing that we are all in this together. And trust is so important, and intent is so important. And yet again, the only way to really do that is to communicate directly. I appreciate your time, I appreciate your service, and I look forward to seeing what we can do in this next semester.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Mike. Next, we have Rosalind Roberts, talking about library policies. Are you ready?
Talking about some plans down the document, kind of talk about together.
Yeah.
I am always available to discuss.
Okay. Thanks, Roz. And thanks for the leadership and preventing those geeks from getting worse. Don't even say it. Don't even say it. All right. Next, we have
He has to go last.
pardon me. Next, we have Andre Wilkins, also of co-president of the union, regarding postcards. Go.
CPA, Colorado Education Association, puts together what we have a group called the Rural Lobby Day. That's next week on the 22nd, where all the associations across the state and rural Colorado go to Denver and we see our legislators and we let them know how we feel about whether or not they followed through the promises that they said they were going to do or not. And we've been doing this postcard thing for a few years. If you remember, the BS Factor got bought back after getting thousands upon thousands and tens and so many postcards to legislators saying, hey, you ran on this, follow through. You ran on this, follow through. Promise it, follow through. And so the postcard campaign next is looking at how we can work within the constraints of favor to make sure that we relinquish some funds at the state level to go back into public education instead of handcuffing us into not being able to make ends meet. I appreciate the fire department on nickels and, since we don't have pennies anymore, I assume that's an inflation rate.
Yeah.
That didn't land either. So yeah, it's a little close to home. These postcards will be hand delivered next week by SEA members that are attending the rural retreat. All you have to do on the back is say, "Dear legislator," and then follow through with the second sheet that has some talking points for you. I don't want to debate politics and whether or not you think Tabor is good or not. I do want you, however, to really look at this and see how much we are handcuffed as a result of something that happened in 1988, and it is now 2026.
That's interesting.
Let's revisit and see if it's still working for people. If you have any questions, Mike and I would be happy to answer, as well as some other SBA members. I handed a bunch of cards and papers to Dr. Blackburn. If you need one, get one from him. Anybody can turn them in. Anybody submits up. So if you have some family members at home or friends that would be interested in this small step of activism, I would appreciate that as well as.
Okay. Hold on just a moment, Andre. Raise your hands if you do not have a postcard to write on. Okay, we see a couple gaps here.
Well, and then there's not enough of these.
And then do you have, and raise your hand if you need some of the guidance with the untie the knot. Right, raise them high, Teresa. It's okay.
So you need to phone out to the intersection of the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Okay, and then once we write our cards, we give them to anybody that's in the union, anybody on CBT, or anybody that's doing the legislative. To whom do we give these?
Give it to Alice, you give it to me, give it to Sarah
Janae.
Janae.
Janae's here. David or Andre. Okay, we got all kinds of options. Perfect. And under time. Way to go, Mr. Wilkins. All right, Miss Parks, Evelyn Parks. Hey. Okay, if you need us, we can move through the agenda if you need that to happen. No, you ready? Go. Like I can stop her.
I am Salida Transportation, but I'm also the Staff Appreciation Committee, and this month, as everybody, I don't know if everybody knows, is Board Appreciation Month. Not everybody's here, but every January, I always try to bring you guys something special. You guys got a nice dinner. Hopefully y'all got fed. There's still more food, so make sure you go get some more. But I found some really cool presents for you this year. Last year, I just kind of gave you whatever. This year, I found some really cool ones. So, yeah, that's like.
Oh.
I got you some really nice with the Spartan head. Good job.
Thank you.
Books.
Thank you. Let me contain my thoughts.
Well, you like to write things down.
I do. I'm digital immigrant.
Did you have
You
one?
can put those in there.
Getting them to the other.
Yeah,
board
I-
members?
Yeah, absolutely.
So who in this one?
Glenn.
Missing.
Well,
Karen.
Karen,
Karen?
and then our new, whoever we appoint
Who's
next
formally
month.
resigned.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this one's for Karen.
Okay.
Yes, David, you're not forgotten. You get one too.
Thank you. Yes.
Gosh, thank you, Evelyn.
Really nice.
And so does Kim, because she is your secretary.
Nope.
You get one too. They're really nice. I really like them. And then thank God Brett was able to get these ordered in time. So these are really cool. So if you open them up,
You indulge us, Miss Evelyn.
these things are awesome, especially for all you guys that like to go hiking or do stuff.
Right. Like hockey and pickleball.
Take your thermos
No way. And
and it sets in there.
it
It also will hold your phone.
Oh.
in
And a
one
little-
item.
And one pocket for your ID if you're out hiking in the woods or.
Lip balm.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Little Stanley jacket.
Oh, it fits this. Okay. Wow, Evelyn, thank you.
There's yours.
Just-
You're welcome. And then here's one for Karen.
Thank you.
You guys get yours later.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then I have one for whoever you pick for the new one. Is that tonight or next?
No, that's in February, but
Next
that,
February, okay.
thank you very much, Miss Trustee Evelyn. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you guys for all your hard work and your dedication.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion, please, to approve the agenda with the following changes. We are going to remove the guest reports from CMC Salida for a future date. Yeah, future date. May I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second?
Oh, who did-
That was Jen.
Jen, okay.
Is there any discussion about that? I don't think it's not any big deal, but we're fine.
All
May we
right.
please vote?
Yep, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit,
Aye.
Dr. Hill,
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal,
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes. Aye. And Ms. Schiffman.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we do campus reports. Mighty Salida High School Spartans. Mr. Holt, you may now have the floor.
I am happy to be standing. So, boy, the year goes by quick. Chris Ruiz up there wants to look to the Salida board report. I hope that's not like a gang sign or something.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay,
Right. Or if you brought it in a little tighter. I love you.
Vision. All right. So- Mission. This is what we do. This is our business at the high school. We take care of kids. Academically, physically, socially, emotionally. I want to point out girls wrestling up there. That's Lillian Morrison. First year of girls wrestling, so we have girls competing.
Only person now in each student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting. A couple other pictures up there. Miss Godina's roller coaster activity. I think my daughter's laying in the hallway there for a psychology project about sensory perception. But you know, our mission is we take care of kids, right? And make sure they have a purpose. Right? They come out of the high school with college and career prep, durable skills, know how to build relationships and understand belonging. If you ask any staff member, I think they would be able to tell you what our mission is. Vision. We know all students by name, need, and strength. I think I've heard Dr. Blackburn say that once or twice. Also, every single student within our school should be able to articulate what their purpose is, what their post-secondary pathway is. They should also be able to identify an adult they feel connected with in the building, right? Hadestown, Director Andre, that's a picture from Hadestown, which is a very successful musical this fall. Main goals every year at the high school, our building leadership team comes up with an action plan. And our goals changed a little bit this year. For the past couple of years, we've had the same goals and kind of achieved some of those, and we're moving on to bigger and better goals this year. Number one being vertical teams, ensuring that every single course has a guaranteed and viable curriculum. Thank you to Savannah Kraft, our new Director of Curriculum and Instruction, who is working with our vertical teams to achieve this, and we're getting there. That's a sample of some of the action steps. Each goal has probably, I don't know, 15, 20 action steps under each goal. But that's just a sample of some of them. So first one, vertical team. Second one, Prioritize a professional culture with a foundation of pedagogy, really focusing on tier 1 instruction within our building, right? Learning cycle, what do you teach? Is that first goal? Second part of the cycle is how do you teach it, right? And that's professional culture with a foundation of pedagogy. Third goal is still the same from the past couple of years. We're still working on it. Every year we're getting a little bit better, improving the efficacy of advisory. Right? Cooksey and I do walkthroughs throughout our advisory. Dawn and Mary, our counselors, also do walkthroughs, have come up with a really solid curriculum, 9 through 12 in advisory that all the teachers are following. Really appreciate all the work they put into it. We've gotten really good feedback from the teachers this year about how easy it is to follow the curriculum and how well it's working this year. So we're moving along on those goals. I don't want to miss cell phone policy.
I know, most exciting.
Go ahead, Cooksey.
So we just wanted to report out a little bit about how the cell phone policy is going at Salida High School. It's been such a game changer at the school. The entire vibe of classrooms and the building itself feels different without cell phones involved. It's consistently enforced. I probably call home or usually text home now because we have this lovely WebEx program, so I can text families. About 1 to 2 cell phones a day is pretty average for us at this point. A lot of the time it's still like a kid, a junior who's like, but I'm studying in the senior lounge. And I'm like, well, you can't have a phone on campus. So about 1 to 2 phones daily, and I text the parent for end of day pickup. I've gotten essentially no pushback from parents this entire year, nothing but support from parents. Sometimes like a little bit of irritation because they have to come out, but no one has questioned the policy. And I think just the noise is so nice to hear. And I want to really give a shout out to Andre and Mr. Bright, who are our lunch monitors. Because one of the things that is new for the cell phone policy is that students are interacting again, which is great. And cell phones are dangerous for a lot of reasons, but they keep a very calm teenage environment. And what it looks like when you take cell phones away from children is kids screaming while playing ping pong and foosball and basketball and confusing volleyball games where you throw volleyballs at each other that I don't fully understand.
It's weird.
And yes, it's a weird volleyball game. And Andre and Todd are the ones who are in charge of monitoring it, making sure the kids stay safe, making sure they have fun. And Andre is not a bad ping pong player himself, let me tell you. You're welcome.
MTSS at Salida High School, multi-tiered systems of support. For those of you that don't know, MTSS is a way that we ensure that every single student gets the support they need socially, emotionally, and academically. Right? And we're, I guess, 2.5 years into our system of MTSS that we've developed. It's a 4-week rotation of tier 1 and tier 2 interventions for students needing additional success. So week 1, every Thursday, we go through an MTSS process with teachers, right? And there's 60 minutes devoted towards MTSS with teachers on Thursdays. Week 1 of the month is professional development for teachers. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Week 2, MTSS meetings where we workshop in groups of teachers to talk through kids that may need extra support. Week 3, Cooksey and I go around to every single teacher in the building and meet with them individually to review student progress. And they have that hour to work on MTSS interventions individually. Week 4, Dawn and Mary, our counselors, go around and meet with every single teacher also and check in with them about interventions. So that's the cycle. Tier 1 instructional support. I think it's really important to recognize our teachers bust their butts. They work super hard in our building. And some of them have not, well, quite a few of them have not been through a traditional teachers program, right? We have 6 brand new teachers in the building, new to the profession. We also have 15 alternatively licensed teachers that haven't gone through a traditional program. We have a total of 27 teachers. So what that tells me is teachers need some support in pedagogy and instruction within the building. They're working super hard, right? But we need to be there to give them that extra support in instruction, right? We've created 7 professional development sessions throughout the year. We're working all together on a book right now, 7 Steps to a Language Rich Classroom, which I've done before as a staff, which is just really good, easy steps to support good instruction within the class, and really focusing on that idea, how do you teach? How are you an effective teacher? Thankfully, we have Savannah supporting our teachers with a guaranteed and viable curriculum on what they teach, right? So they don't have to spend all their time focusing on creating curriculum, but focusing on the more important piece of how do I teach? How am I an effective teacher? So super important. We're making good progress. We're having teachers lead these professional development sessions, which is really cool because we do have some master teachers in the building that can really support other teachers. Tier 2.
Yeah.
MTSS Tier 2. What this looks like at the high school, Tier 2 basically means some of those kids that need a little extra support more than other students need, right? We have a thing called Spartan Hour, and students are placed in Spartan Hour for various reasons. One, they may have a 504 where they need some extra support. They may have transitioned from a different learning environment where they were homeschooled or in an online school, right? And they need that extra support to come back to the high school. Mental health concerns, extra time for ELL students, and also academic interventions. The software that we use in Spartan Hour is called iExcel for math and reading support. So we have a number of kids that are in that Spartan Hour for Tier 2 lectures.
So I love Salida High School teachers, so I'm here to ask for more of them. Salida High School teachers are my favorite kind of humans. And so we have a couple different staffing requests based on some needs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a request for a half FTE for math. We currently have 3.5 FTE in our math department, and we're requesting to move that half-time position to a full-time position. So a little bit of math history for our math department. Prior to 2021, we had 4 FTE for math. From 2021 into 2022, we moved to 3.5 FTE. And the math department started sharing some FTE with science to cover an instructor loss after COVID. And the next year, science regained a position. Math stayed at that 3.5 load has consistently stayed at that 3.5 load. When we had an instructor that worked for, who was local, and when she chose to leave, we discovered that it was impossible to fill a 0.5 math instructor position. So last year, the fall semester, we couldn't hire even a long-term sub for the vacancy. So we ended up hiring an online teacher to teach 2 geometry classes and absorbed another one. The spring semester, we had 1 qualified applicant who we hired for that position. She chose to leave at the end of this fall semester, and then we had no applicants again for another contract math position. For some context about hiring math positions in general, I was kind of racking my brain being in the building for 8 years. In the last decade at Salida High School, we have not hired a full-time math teacher who's had more than 3 years of math experience. Math teachers do not exist. They are hard to hire and they are hard to recruit, they're hard to keep. And so making this position as exciting as possible by making it full-time gives us a larger possibility of getting a really qualified person. I think that this is a thing that would really help improve our instruction, improve outcomes for kids. So moving to a full math teacher is our first request. And with that, our second request is asking for another FTE of elective credits. So the chart that you see on the board is from last year's course registration. You will see student requests and then max capacity. So that is within our master schedule right now, how many people we can physically fit into rooms based on those requests. So Introduction to Woods, 112 student requests. We can only physically serve 60 kids at max capacity. Drafting, we have 90 student requests. Again, we can only serve 60. Guitar, 60 requests. We can serve 48. And that is consistent across all of our electives. We have way more requests than the ability to fit kids in classrooms for those. So what we are asking for specifically is an FTE for a STEM teacher, ideally computer science and technology. About 25% of our students have requested or have shown interest in following a STEM pathway, and that feels like the thing that is consistently asked for that we are able to provide right now for kids. Having that extra elective teacher would lower the burden on core classes, lower the burden on other electives so that they can do things with more validity, and then make sure kids are really getting to take classes they want to take and not classes that they have to take because it's the only option that fits, because everything else is
New course this year, senior seminar. We are very thankful that the board pushed for this new course, senior seminar. Basically, it's a class that all students take senior year. And as we know, our nation right now, there's a lot of civil discourse, right? A lot of adults not knowing how to talk to one another, right, with different viewpoints. This course is designed for students who don't have to talk to people that this Brady Hines was our instructor this semester. Did a lot of work, created the curriculum, basically from scratch. With a lot of input from his social studies team members, from administrators, and the course was very successful. When we read through the feedback, we were like, wow, Brady, the feedback the kids gave was really amazing. Good quality feedback. And as you read through it, I'm not going to read all of it up there, but the first piece of feedback, I think that is probably the most applicable class that I've taken for my life in the real world after high school. Right? Super important. I sat in that class quite a bit. They were tackling tough topics. And kids were engaged and discussing things in a way that was more appropriate than most adults discussing So super proud of the senior seminar, the way it's going, and look forward to watching kids in there the next semester.
So the other big shift that we did this year was switching to an 80-based schedule. We identified some problems with our previous 4x4 block. Students were not receiving reading and math instruction for the entire academic year, and we were noticing significant learning loss. As well as students were having trouble filling their schedules because we taught classes in too many different modalities. Students who took a CMS class at the CMC Kessler building would have a class every other day. Students in the building in English would have a class every day of the week. Some students were taking skinnies, checking match with another skinny. It was very complicated, and it was not creating good outcomes for change. So this year we switched to ABA schedule. Students are receiving math and reading all year. We've immediately seen growth in our whole PSAT data. I think that is entirely related to the 80-day schedule and the lack of cell phones. Students have more opportunities. We have way fewer scheduling gaps, and we're able to get a lot more students in the classes that they've requested. We have a longer advisory. Some of the things we did was also changing the times of our classes. We have a longer advisory, which is giving advisors time to actually get through the course material. Higher levels of student engagement with shorter blocks. The biggest challenge that we have is with athletic schedules. So students who have 2 away games in a week might not see their teacher for that entire week. That's been a huge concern of ours, and we're working on ways. I'm not an athletics person, but I'm learning a lot about athletics this year. This is a personal goal of mine, to learn things about athletics. And there's something called a cycle for sports schedules, where you set the schedule a few years in advance. And we're currently trapped in the cycle. So our hope is that in the new cycle, you can be a little bit more thoughtful about the way particular meetings are scheduled to help students get to be in class more often. One of the requests we get from parents a lot is, hey, my kid plays basketball. Can they have all the core classes in first block? But as you're about to see on in a couple slides from now, most of our kids do an extracurricular. Most of our kids are traveling for sports. And when 80% of your student body is involved, you cannot have 80% in core classes in first block. So we have to come up with a better solution, and that's our goal for next year.
Say that.
Oh, yes.
Scheduling gap.
But
37.
yeah.
9th and 10th graders had TAs scheduled gaps last year.
And we're down to 7, and that feels like a really huge improvement. So
Colorado State 3. Okay. For years, the state has gauged success of a high school on 3 categories: achievement in test scores, growth in test scores, and post-secondary workforce readiness. And they talked about a high school being successful if your test scores were high, your courses, you had a lot of AP courses and academic courses, your dropout rate was low, and that's how they measured a high school, right? Thankfully, the state is changing and says we want high schoolers to come out of high school with something useful that's valuable, right? And what they've come up with is this thing called the Big 3. And measure a high school success by these 3 categories. Whether kids receive college credit, industry recognized, or a quality work-based learning experience, right? And they're going to measure a high school on those categories to determine if they're successful and they're prepared for the next stage of life, whether that's career, college, or military. Their high school prepared them. As you may know, In the past, they've had all types of programs to incentivize college credit, work-based learning, and industry-recognized cert, and we get money for those things. They're in the process of changing that model of funding, right? And they haven't really sorted out what it's going to look like. But I'm truly excited about it because we're doing all these things already for our kids. If you looked at the class of 2025, 75 or 76% of our kids were able to check one of these boxes. Whether they had 12 college credits, an industry recognized cert, or a work-based learning experience. Just for example, I think this year, 67 kids are enrolled in internship programs through CMC, which is awesome.
That's just fun.
54% of our kids have at least 12 college credits. Right. So super excited about the state shifting to recognizing this as being important. And we're ahead of the curve. Last year, we had the whole post-secondary workforce readiness team from CDE come to Salida and pick our brains about what we're doing and modeling the rest of the state of what we're doing. So super proud of what our kids are doing and what our teachers are doing.
Okay, and this last little bit is just a huge shout out to our programming and to our kids. So this is just fall extracurricular participation. So this isn't counting all of the like extra time people are spending on things that they're really passionate about. This is when they actually can show up outside of school to do some sort of activity. 76% of our students were involved in some sort of fall extracurricular, which is why we see these lovely students here tonight. We invited 60. We're gonna get hopefully 20 because there's basketball, there's volleyball tonight, there's futsal tonight, there's rock school tonight. Our kids are amazing. I get home from work and I am exhausted. I want to cook my dinner. I want to sit on my couch. I want to like watch my show and then ideally be asleep by like 8:15. Best case scenario. And our kids are getting home from games at 1 a.m, showing up the next day, earning 12 college credits. We work with the best kids in the entire world, and you can see that in how much they commit to their school days, their extracurriculars, every single thing that they do. So here's our fall participation rates. Winter participation rates are also excellent. Adding on that girls wrestling this year is really exciting. And I think we're just really lucky to get to work with these kids that we have. And I think we'll go ahead and wrap up because I know you don't want to hear from us anymore. You want to hear from them because they're infinitely better. There's one more slide and it's just for you, Jesse. Oh, no, there's a PSAT slide. There's a PSAT slide. Y'all have gotten these reports. We gave them to you right after the state testing. We had huge wins on the fall PSAT. Our math growth increased by 11 percentage points compared to last year. That's huge, likely because all of our kids are in math class. What an amazing thing. Small dip in ELA growth, but we think it was more tied to staffing disruptions. And we're just really excited to see where the rest of the year takes us. We're feeling really good about those numbers.
I don't want to jinx things, but I am super excited with the new schedule with kids having math and reading all year. Is a huge difference for us, and really excited to see what those scores look like in spring. And the other piece of it, which I think we really need to recognize, is thank you for the cell phone policy. You walk into classes, kids are more engaged, and you can see it. So we are hopeful. Last thing, thank you, Mr. Shuffle. A great colleague,
Sad to see you go, but so.
And go Spartans.
Thank you.
Right, check and see if you have any comments from the board stuff before we break to the kids.
Why don't we just break to the kids and circle back? So, Jesse, we're going to respect the time of all these awesome Spartans, and let's go ahead and break up into small groups now, and then we'll circle back. And if anybody on the board has any questions.
Yeah.
You're a student and you would like some pizza, there's pizza, go get it. I know.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's good. I do just mention, because we'll stop the video with this dynamic thing, so we're going to stop all the recording for right now for the student moment. We'll come back.
Thank you. Eat quietly. We're going to start with Ben. You've got 45 seconds to synthesize the top 2, 3, 4 points.
All right. I'm talking to y'all.
Yes. Yeah.
So I had a senior and 3 freshmen. They're all very happy with the high school. They have seems like the senior has a very specific plan for his future. The other 3 have really good general plans. Nothing weird. You hush yourself. I can't read my own handwriting because I didn't have time. But so they're all really happy. Well, 3 of them have Mr. O for auto shop and other stuff, and they're really impressed with him. So that's, I don't know Mr. O, but I'm really glad that everybody likes him.
Okay.
They're very excited about all of them, all 4 of them have been really happy or are excited about the CMC internship programs. They love Miss Free.
Mm-hmm. Do you know Spanish or art? Wait, Renee, never mind, Renee.
No, I haven't. 1 was art
And 1.
3 was Spanish. Yeah.
1 was art, 3 were Spanish.
Yep. So she's a hit. They very much like AB days. It's unanimous. And for things that they would like to change or see more of, they would like more financial advice, whether it's personal finance or like econ type stuff. Both.
Was that mostly the freshmen?
Yeah.
Because they will get that.
Well,
Look, we already. Oh, okay.
yeah, that was unanimous. And more language options, besides Spanish, but that's probably hard to cover.
Yeah.
And they all thought more PE classes would be nice.
Did you say PE?
PE.
PE, got it.
I guess I don't understand what the limitations there are, but I think there are limitations on what they can do for physical activity at school.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Ben. Jen?
All right, I had seniors, junior, sophomore.
Okay.
Internships, yay. Could they please be available more and for more kids at all times, students? We are good at having a lot of extracurricular activities. It's very nice. There's something for everyone. Everyone likes the addition of girls wrestling and esports just to cover more bases. Feminine hygiene products being in the restrooms. It would be great if they could be in all the restrooms because sometimes you're really far away from
Supply ones.
situation. Phone, mixed reviews, cell phone policy. Sorry, I really love it. But it's nice to hear what you think. Drug and alcohol use observed as higher here than in other schools that students have been to that are not in Salida. Why? There could be a variety of reasons, but it has been observed, which I think we also hear. It'd be great if we had some even more things for students to do. that are maybe indoors. Maybe not everyone wants to be surfing or skiing or whatever. So some suggestions were some sort of open gym hours somewhere, maybe the rec center or a pool, is that what we're calling it. Maybe school could have some free time for students where they are not charged entry. In my mind, I sort of thought students don't just get to go for free all the time. Apparently not.
No, it's like it's a lot.
Let's talk to our community partners about that. Even if it was like on Thursdays after school, from after school till whenever, that'd be great for students.
Just a little thing, a little something.
Advisory. Still not getting great reviews. Some people seem to have one really strong advisor that they've had for years, and they do seem to be using the time efficiently. Some have had a new advisor every year, so that is probably a challenge. But seems to be for many to most, the first 5 to 10 minutes, gung-ho, productive, helpful. Rest of the time, what are we doing? I don't know. It'd be great if we could have some more life skills built in or some really focused work on scholarships, things that maybe not everyone's getting in personal finance. I know I don't have all the information to reporting.
Yeah, just recorder.
So it doesn't feel maybe mindful and intentional at this point. Also, capstone seems to be very not clear depending on who the advisor is. So some kids just seem to not maybe know what they should be doing, or they're just waiting, and any day now they're going to find out. And others have been talking about it with their advisor for 3 years straight. So.
Thanks, Jen. What you got?
I think some similar things. So I had a senior and then 3 sophomore girls, and actually all of them were unanimous that they really do like the cell phone ban. They think that classes go more smoothly. There's a lot more talking, a lot more socializing, and they said that having the peer pressure to not be on your phone is really helpful because in advisory, especially once you would get to that free time, people would pull out phones. And even if you felt like you didn't want to personally do it, it was just like, well, everyone else is doing it. Now there's no one to talk to. So they all really like that. Lots of raving about CMC classes. A lot of them were taking really heavy, high load CMC classes, and really like CMC online options too. Like I know we don't do that necessarily a ton, but a lot of kind of the kids that felt like it gave them a lot more options to be able to throw in some of those online CMC classes. And then they really like kind of the more non-traditional classes through CMC too, like the wilderness first responder and different certifications and things. We talked about activities, and the main thing that they all recommended adding was more of kind of like speech and debate, like Model UN. One of them said he did
Yeah.
FFA, Farmers of America.
Future
Future
Farmers of America. Yep.
And he said that was really good and included all the other aspects of speech and debate, and would think that would be a great thing to add that's more academic extracurricular. Things not going well, it was kind of the same with advisory. Like, feel like the SEL stuff isn't super worthwhile, a lot of busy work, very repetitive from freshman to senior year. They would like more college prep, and they would like it to not be as long as it is, and have, or just have more study hall time, but not have to do all these kind of
Activity.
lessons. Yeah. And then the other thing that I've heard multiple times tonight, and then apart from tonight also, is the breaks during the blocks.
They're not
Well, and one,
I learned why. Yeah.
they knew why, and the main thing was kind of kids leave and don't come back on time, and one of the teachers, I guess, did a break detention list that was super effective. And as soon as you didn't come back on time, you got put on that break detention list and you did not get another chance. But the rest of the class was not punished.
Oh.
Is there an option for more
And
in class, like an
Yes.
in-class break option?
And that's what the teachers have communicated to kids, is that we can take a break. It's just, we can't leave. Like, the whole school's not gonna leave at once.
Right.
It was absolute disaster.
It's fair
Right.
that you did that.
Huge.
Enormous.
We not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I
We made a big mistake by giving them breaks, because now they feel like
they want them.
They're denied. Denied.
Yeah.
And they have a lunch that's
Almost 50 minutes.
almost 50 minutes, which is unheard of,
That is a lot.
Yeah.
right? They have breaks during the day. We have 90 minutes of instructional time times 4, where we cannot lose that time.
Well, and maybe some of that comes down to just the professional development and pedagogy, right? It's like making sure teachers know that a kid can't sit for 90 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And you do need to give them something where they can get up and shake their legs and.
And that's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there might be a few teachers that it's not happening.
In general, they're.
Okay.
But, you know, what they want is 10 minutes time. That's why
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, but that does, you're right, that is 40 minutes a day, so you do 10 minutes per class. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mandy. Tiffany, what'd you find out? Put the hammer down. Yeah, Lily.
You guys can go report back why you can't get your breaks back.
Okay. All right. What's Tiffany got?
I had one senior, two juniors, a sophomore and a freshman, so I had every grade. One of the first things they said was breaks. One thing that was said about the breaks was that there was a long line for the bathroom during passing periods. And sometimes they have a hard time going to the bathroom and then making it to class on time. So
Good
I
to
think
know.
that's valid. So I don't know what can be done about that, but feedback. It was also brought up, and I think you mentioned this in your presentation, that with the Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, there are some students that like missed like 3 weeks of one class. And that was really hard. And some teachers were better about it than others with work. And so, you know, it was hard for them, and their work. And then somebody else mentioned, inconsistent policies when people were absent for other reasons, also with homework and making it up, and it made it confusing for them. I think maybe also for some of the younger students that are like new to high school, just trying to adjust. You know, just keeping track of what different teachers' policies are for missing school and making up work.
Okay.
Yeah, the two juniors really liked Career Day this year, so that was great feedback. Advisory was very advisor specific, as to whether or not it's helpful or not. Some of the students really liked it. Some of them don't find it helpful. And I did hear the same thing, like at the beginning, it's really good usually, but then it kind of peters off towards the end of the period, and maybe 45 minutes is a bit long. That's how long it is this year, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I did hear that same feedback that the CMC internships are really great and one of the favorite things that they've done. And that they wish they had more opportunity for different foreign languages.
Hey, thanks, Tiffany. Savannah and I had 3 juniors and 2 seniors. The overall thesis is the kids are all right. Amazing interface, amazing insights, really interacted well with each other and with me and with Savannah. 3 things. 1, advisory, I'm the elder of this group. And while it's not the brightest shining star at Salida High School, it has improved so much from student feedback. I think specifically, I thought I saw Mary here too. Yeah. Okay. I'm so thankful for the curriculum that you provide to the teachers. And what's nice is that it seems as if the teachers have autonomy to decide. They prioritize what is more essential. They give a little bit of homework sometimes, and then they have their off-topic conversations, but they're getting the big things done. Advisory is improving. Secondly, 100% of the students had a really important teacher that they could turn to for positive things, like whittling down those college options for those seniors, or negative things if they were struggling with their stressful high school life. And then number 3 was they wanted some more meat on the pathways of that 1-page report and a little bit more specificity. And then finally, I wanted to say that I'm really excited that Cookie's on the case and to help with whoever our permanent activities director is, because they were missing a lot because of all of these activities that they were involved in, and the best you could do is best you can do. And we were all fired up that Cal Hill is 18-0 coming into this weekend for the wrestling season. Okay. Okay. We're going to close it out with you guys. It's been a long night for you guys. Been on the stage for quite a while. Does anybody have any questions for Cooksey and Hull about what they presented? Any areas of concern that you wanted to talk about?
I was gonna ask, just from getting some feedback from students, do you hear that there are teachers who don't agree with the cell phone removal policy and thereby don't enforce it?
I think we've been pretty consistent. There was a little hiccup with the teacher mid fall where we had to kind of reel that in a little bit. But I think for the most part, we're very consistent with enforcement. I'm not gonna say, there might be a teacher standing in the hall on a Monday morning before school, see somebody take their phone out, and wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, this is where I
I'm sure that happens. But like,
doesn't seem like the kind of might be important to you, so.
no, like, and I was worried about that as far as with these consistent. And I don't know, I don't see it when I'm in the classroom, but
Yeah.
the principals in the classroom, so.
I just wanted to say thanks, if that's okay. I really appreciate the slide deck because there's a great way to see how much change has happened, how much over time. There's just a lot of details. It's not one simple thing like you just changed the AB schedule. There was a lot of pieces and parts. So just thanks to your staff, because that change exhaustion is always a thing. And I think you guys have been finding a way to keep moving forward. And I just appreciate good stuff. And I'm excited to see how the PSATs or however, how those things come together. I'm excited to hear that you guys are excited, and it's in a good space.
Feedback loud and clear about advisory. Thank you, Jody, for saying it has gotten better. There's
A lot better.
still room for improvement. And, I think one of the largest challenges in the high school is consistency among all the teachers. Right? You have some teachers there that have been there for a long time, so this is a new experience for them. We're involved in curriculum. We're doing our best to hold things accountable and support them as far as consistency within advisory.
I'll also say, as a former teacher, advisory played a lot more games. Just to be blunt, I think advisory puts a lot of teachers out of their comfort zones, particularly secondary teachers. So secondary teachers sign up to teach secondary because they're content experts, not necessarily child development experts. And I think that it's something that suits some teachers' strengths and also really shows them. And so it's a thing that we've really brought into the district, and it's a thing that we're going to keep working on. But I think it's a thing that is particularly difficult for certain teachers who are truly there because they're content experts. I also think that developmentally, thinking about that child development piece, and thinking about kids who are like, I don't want to take the SEL. Yes, because we're like teenagers and developmentally, you don't want to talk about SEL. It's like that is logical and actually correct for where you are in your life. And it's our job as the adults to kind of like give you the medicine a little bit sometimes, and it's not always the most fun. So 100%. I think that it's a little bit like taking all of those pieces of like the people that we're working with and trying to make the system move forward. I think we have a long way to go, but I appreciate you saying how far we've come as well.
Very far.
And there's like tons of lesson plans on college and career readiness and scholarship. So it
If you're the parent of a senior worried about scholarships, most of scholarship season, if you're looking at scholarships, is the spring. Those lessons come in the spring.
They want to read each other's essays and give feedback, apparently.
Apparently.
What?
At least one of them. I mean, that should be good, and that.
Weren't they did that in advisory
Yeah.
in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think they did, yes.
They did. I mean, I remember Henry talking about it.
And a lot of it is, it's advisor dependent sometimes.
Very much.
Again, you're like not tweaking every teacher's strength. As a former math teacher, I was like, God, you want me to talk about like feelings of each other? No. That's
Just solve for X. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask Dawn specifically. You guys are doing this curriculum this year, and I mean, bless you. But then for next year's round, will you just tweak it? Okay. So the heavy lift. Okay. Right. It's.
Foundation and then making adjustments, and we've got, you know, the advisory steering committee that's kind of helping us figure out what lessons
Yeah.
work, they like, what, you know, to
Right.
stick with, and then what to get rid of, and we'll make adjustments.
Okay, so this is one more semester of heavy lift and then just put little 400 grit sandpaper. Okay, good. All right. I just have one question for Cooksey. Just talk a little bit about CDIP. Give an example of, you don't even have to name a kid, but you know what they're doing and how's the pass rate going. You know, what are you finding?
so a couple things. One, CDIP as a program no longer exists. Thinking about the big three that
Oh.
they are redoing the way that they are providing funding to schools based on now the big three. Industry recognized certificates are part of that big three, but it's not under CDIP anymore. So this year I will still submit data on industry recognized certificates to the state, but we will not receive a check for those for at least the next 2 years as they redo their funding model. Don't panic about this. We're not panicking, so you shouldn't panic. I'll tell you when to panic.
I'm just annoyed. We got up and running and then this happens. Yeah.
New funding model eventually will be better for our school in general.
Okay.
But right now, that's how it is. Pros and cons with the state.
Okay.
It's recognized certificates as a model. Right now, we have Woofer as a certificate our students are pursuing. We have the NCCR OSHA 10 certificate that our students are pursuing. It's an OSHA certificate.
Okay, for safety. Yep.
Instructions.
Sweet.
We
Good.
have a couple students have done some grant funded programs to do wildland firefighting, and we have nurse aid is a class on Fridays to get students their nursing their
Seeing it.
So those are kind of our main industry recognized certificates that we are pursuing right now. If you go into the PowerPoint I sent, I actually linked the list. So Jody, you're someone who loves looking at.
I do, and so I will go into the slides. Okay.
There's a lot of different things, but one of the things that's tricky about it is that what's best for a child might not be on the state required list.
Right.
Students who are really into heavy equipment. Do you know what there's not enough cert for? Heavy equipment on the state list. So I'm going to put my money and energy into supporting my kid doing heavy equipment,
Okay.
even if it's not necessarily recognized by the state,
Okay.
because I want to support the kid.
Right.
So I think there's some really good programs and pathways that are really helping our kids. I think with the idea of a new tech teacher, potentially incorporating more Adobe certificates, I think would be the next piece there. I would love to see that. But also, not every kid is going to get a certificate because that's not right for every kid. In the same way, not every kid is necessarily going to get full college credits because that's not right for every kid.
Sure.
The thing we're excited about with the big three is that one of those options is right for
That
everyone.
aligns really nicely with school.
Represented by one of those options.
You know, for example, we're talking about 2 kids last year that graduated, who are heavy equipment operators right now and making really good money, right? They had work-based learning experience at high school and supported their top. They weren't counted for CDIP,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the other thing that's going away is Ascent.
Yeah.
So, and this is all going to this
Newer, better thing.
big three, which we're going to be fine with. You know, the next 2 years, what the state is doing is catching up other rural schools in schools that don't have these
Oh, okay.
opportunities, right? And
But they couldn't fund
create
them while
funding
they were,
for them.
okay.
So, you know, we're kind of hanging out there for a couple of years, but once
Well, but it'll be better.
2028, it'll be good for us because we're ahead of the curve.
Okay. Friday CNA class
Through CNC.
through CMC.
I think
Got
we
it.
have 8 students signed up for it right now, and they tap at 10. So it's a community-based class, and we are filling it. I think.
Yeah, you are the community. Okay, right. Okay. Okay.
And then we
Great.
So just to like help our CNA, like that program, we have students who I have a student who's working 12-hour shifts at the hospital on Tuesdays and Thursdays this year. And we are giving her workplace credit so she can still be able to do sports because she needs that sports. She wants to run track, but she's able to do that.
Counts.
Because that she's gotten that way.
Okay, that's exactly the kind of meat I wanted to learn about that.
Happy child example. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody, anything else? Anything else?
Okay, I did miss one.
Okay.
I think it's really encouraging to hear students say that they want teachers who teach from bell to bell and really do keep them engaged because that helps them not wish they had their cell phones. And they said when they're really engaged for that time and learning, they don't even think about it. And when that's not the experience in the classroom, they're like,
Second bell.
They have the urge.
so but that's really cool that they want
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we're acknowledging, we're working on tier 1 instruction, right? Teachers, everybody needs to improve, right? And, you know, we're doing a lot with that, so.
Oh, sorry. I did ask the kids when they were talking about missing class for sports, so a lot because of the schedule. If any of the teachers recorded their lectures, because I said, well, are they giving you their makeup work and are they good about that? And they said, yeah, but it's not the same as being there and hearing the lectures. And they said Mr. Bechtel did with the math. Is there a way that could be done for them?
My read on it, just as a teacher during COVID, is that teachers got really burned out of videotaping themselves during COVID. I think
Fair.
some people like really kept up with that skill, and some people were like, I never want to have to videotape myself teaching ever again and be on screen teaching ever again. So yes, I think that is an awesome tool that we could encourage more teachers to use. I also know that behind the scenes, we also have a lot of students who are like, yeah, but can't I just do school from home? Because like if I can just do the lectures, like see the lecture on I'll just check Canvas. I don't actually have to attend school.
Yeah.
And we try to make it really clear that we are an in-person school. We are not a virtual school. You must attend to our building to learn. And so just trying to figure out that balance in a way that makes sure that the best instruction is when a student is in class. And then making sure that the right kids are getting that other, like that extra help.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about when they're having to miss for athletics for 3 weeks in a row.
There are ways to do it.
Yeah.
too. Like if there's a content that is being taught, you can look up YouTube videos of kids
There's
who have taught what you taught, and then you just
times.
assign it to that student on campus.
There are a lot of videos of me teaching algebra 1 on YouTube that
You mentioned that we're in a cycle of the sports calendar. Like how many more years are we stuck in this cycle before we can change something?
It's a new cycle next year.
Okay.
Oh, so
But, you know,
Hopefully this is
the tough thing, right, is we're in a league,
right.
Tri-Peaks League, right? So Tri-Peaks League has basketball games on Tuesday, Thursday, right? So there's limited
Wiggle
you
room.
have league obligations. Our independent teams we can change,
Fine.
right, work with. But the challenge is those league commitments. Baseball, basketball, volleyball are the ones.
I know.
And are most of the schools in our league on a 4-day week or a 5-day week?
I think it's probably about half and half.
So maybe there could be talk with, I mean, maybe there's a lot of other schools who have the same issue if they're doing AV blocks. They would have the same problem.
Is there any situation, or does it not work
Monday,
with
Thursday.
like, A day is Monday, and then B day is Monday, and it's Monday, and then B day is Monday.
Or a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm sure I asked that last year too.
Yeah, we looked at a lot.
Yeah.
And we have kids who come over from the middle schools. We're trying to align our schedule in multiple buildings and multiple, like, there's refs issues with
It's everything.
and it's really.
And-
what
go ahead.
you would do is split, fourth block would be in the morning.
Purple and white, yeah.
But you can't do
You can't do
it.
Yeah.
And you,
So
and,
like all those options, this was the best one.
Yeah.
and you, what you guys predicted last year has come, of the downsides. It was still worth the change, but missing for sports. And then, the kids loved just having 4 topics, and now they have 6 or
But they did
6
say
or
to me
7.
that they think it's far more interesting, that they actually really enjoy having something different from Monday to Tuesday that doesn't get nearly as boring. And that they really appreciate having 2 nights to do homework because they can prioritize
Interesting.
based on their schedule.
So
So they really do actually like it better, I think.
and one of the things
My kids.
that has become the fruition that I thought was going to happen has to happen. Workload, right? It's the last time I did this at my past school, the kids got very overwhelmed with the amount of work teachers were assigning because they were still assigning it like it was 4x4. But I think our teachers have adjusted really well to give them a workload that makes sense. So thankfully that hasn't come to fruition. The adjustment has been pretty good. I thought there was going to be
They're still standing.
there are. The big one is the sports thing.
Yeah.
Mandy too. I would say it's really sport specific. And so with the league, like they dictate it, but each sport has their own commissioner. And so I actually went to the soccer commissioner and said, hey, can I present to the league to switch to Mondays and Thursdays instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays? But I had to present like, we want to do it because of, for us, it's our AP block, but also it's 80-minute games for soccer. We shouldn't be playing within 2 days. It's better. So I had to present it in a way.
A lot of good reasons.
Travel's easier. And they were able to do that, but that has no bearing on like volleyball. It's like the volleyball portion of the
But
league.
potentially we
They work out.
Yeah,
could
that's
go
great.
lobby on behalf of all the sports to the league.
You can do it. Well, each sport has to basically make their own schedule. The problem is like some sports have the Tuesday, Thursday cycle fits college sports and stuff like that. Whereas soccer, it's an easy model that just slipped every 3rd day instead of every other day and stuff like that. So it's more complicated than like to Jesse's point. There are some times that you can make some changes. So
Savannah and I asked for a solution for that, and they said at least 1 home game and 1 away game a week.
Yeah, that would certainly.
Yeah,
That
would help a lot. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, compliments?
Well, no, and I appreciate your comment too on they can tell us their feedback, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna give them exactly because as the adults in the room, we do have to make the harder calls, right? So I think that is important to keep in mind as they say, we want breaks, we want our cell phones, that, as a parent, as a board, like this is what we do is be the adults in the room and take feedback and then ultimately make the decision that we think is best. So I think that's good to acknowledge.
Rivertown, a lot of times our teenagers are like, we're
Oh, yeah. Perfect metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to just advance through. You guys are totally excused if you want to. Savannah, you have a student here. Do you want to leave too? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was just making sure you were taking care of Chan. Okay. So we are on 3, and I just need to make. Oh, sorry. 2C.
No, district reports. I don't know that you guys got my reports. We've been here for a while, so I don't want to go too much. I just think it's important for the community to know we had a great, stable start. It really was a good start to the semester. We always have things that pop up, but that was good. I'm focused on capital projects, trying to get those things cleaned up and addressed. As we head into budgeting season, Aaron and I are already starting to work theories and ideas, trying to figure out models. And we were talking about hiring, trying to get our contracts out before spring breaks. We talked to the administrative team about that. And of course, you've got two big hires with the activities manager and the Longfellow principal. We're hoping to have both of those in front of you next month for approval. So we'll see if we can pull that off, but that's kind of how they're roughly set up. And also, legislation season started, so we're already starting trying to figure out where our advocacy should be. And so I may be presenting a couple times at the Senate. We'll see how that goes. Other than that, I think things have been talked about pretty thoroughly, so there's been good feedback. So I don't think there's too much else. I don't know if either one of you want to dive in general.
No, we were gonna talk about the budget, which is basically all what I was about the last couple weeks, but something that just came to mind, that's something that you all should know about, is Tracy Rainey, who's been the school finance.
I know. Retiring.
Yeah. And working in some limited capacity, I'm told, but.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Okay.
But she's
She's my
a
favorite.
huge resource for us, so
She's
that'll
my
be
favorite.
interesting to kind of see what comes next. I'm sure they'll hire somebody great, but she also lives close by, so if you know her, she's been at a few board meetings or something. Might just chat to her.
She's a pretty great deal.
She's awesome.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to go to 3, but we have some adjustments, and I need a motion. We're kind of breaking all the Robert's Rules of Order, but I need a motion to take out 3GI out of action. I mean consent, excuse me, and table them for the third reading. Those are the CASB library material policies.
I'll make that motion.
You'll make that motion in a second?
Hold on.
Yep.
Table, hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're tabling
So I've
all
got
GI.
all of the CASB.
Third
reading of CASB.
And it's just GI.
Yep.
Not purchasing.
Yep.
Okay, and Mandy,
Mandy gets the motion.
Ben seconded.
Second.
Discussion.
No, I mean, it sounds like you're gonna meet with the librarians and see what.
Yeah, but it was good to have Roz come and speak tonight. It was good to know that they had some other suggestions. It doesn't have to be pushed through, so let's wait and get their suggestions.
Love that they're leading the way, and I'd be happy to help if you want a board member. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Ready? All right. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
And Ms. Schickman.
Aye.
Okay. Now, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. We're still with those omissions.
I'll
Any-
move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mandy. Seconds?
Second.
Jen, thank you. Are there any discussion items?
Any discussion about the consent?
Right, the consent agenda. The consent, yeah. Yeah, thank you for my vernacular. I don't think there are. And go ahead and move to,
All right. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
aye,
Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Schickman.
all the consents. All of the consents.
Discussion. Just go here.
Yep, that's where I am too. Okay, excellent. Let's move to 0.5, action items. I need a motion to approve on second reading the school calendar and, ICA. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thanks, Tiffany. Second. Jen? Discussion? I do have one point, and that is, and Karen brought it to our attention. She's not here tonight, but, I'm persuaded by her, but in our calendar, passing period is considered instructional time. And I think we just need to be aware of that as a board.
I mean, what would it look like to take that out? I mean, how many days would that add to our calendar?
And I don't know the exact, but a couple weeks.
Yeah, but
time.
it'd be significant.
It adds up like 2 weeks. I mean, if you were going to do that, you'd want to run through a significant process with the community
Yeah, we're not,
and with the staff. So I'm not going to recommend that right now.
no.
If you had a strong interest, then we could develop a process to have that conversation. I think there's better calendars all around, but you guys have heard my opinion on that before. So.
Yeah. And, Karen brought up a question. Does that mean that if that is instructional time, are teachers actively out in the hallways? I know they are, most of the time they are for safety reasons in the back, their hallways are safe, but that is considered instructional time. And we just we gotta accept that in our hearts right now.
It's SEL.
I mean, I would argue that it's
Probably
really
is.
instructional time now without cell phones.
Right, right.
Especially if teachers are in the hallway in their doorways and kids are walking and talking. I think that it's more arguably justifiable than it was before.
Perhaps so. Perhaps so. Okay.
All right.
I think we're finished with discussion.
Ready for a vote?
Yes.
Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Haskell.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
And Ms. Schickman. Aye.
5B, I need a motion to authorize Superintendent David Blackburn to finalize the Transportation Equipment Services Agreement with HEFP Starling Highland, including the lease of 2 electric buses, conditional upon the finalization of the Excel Energy Grant. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thanks, Mandy. Second, Jen. Let's have some discussion.
So while Connor's coming up, I am excited about this. It's $1.4 million that we did not have in our budget. And I think it's important that the community knows just how much we are struggling to find every penny wherever they put the pennies. We're going to run them down. Connor will probably cover this, but I think it's helpful. I know when I was talking to administrators, there were 3 recipients of this grant award: Cherry Creek, Jeffco, and Salida schools. And so it definitely puts you in a different category than where all the other rural districts are trying to figure out. We're going to keep on searching those grants out while they're doing tech. We applied for another grant this week that might help some of our staffing concerns. We're trying to figure out how to do general fund. We also found another extension and possibly another one today. So we'll be chasing that down. We're just going to keep chasing every grant. Wherever they put the dollars, we're going to get first in line and try and get those things in place.
While we're warming up the Epson, if anybody needs to take a quick potty, now's the time. I think the one who needed it did. Okay.
All right. Well, it's
Okay.
awesome doing that. I want to make sure we wrote the action item pretty carefully there because we wanted to make sure it was transparent.
Yes.
We could have just say approve the agreement, but we just wanted to make sure we called out for clarity. And when 2 years from now, we try and figure out when we did that, it's very easy to find it. And this would just give, if you voted yes, you'd be saying, Dr. Blackburn, you have the authority to go finalize this. So if there's any substantive change, then I'd have to bring that back. But trying to figure out the minutia of this many minutes on a charger or such, those would be things we would just address as we're kind of nitpicking back and forth on the contract. But I think we're pretty close. And there is no concern whatsoever that the Excel Energy Grant isn't there. But there's still more details, and so we want to be careful and make sure it's clear. It is in the contract, it's clear, but we want to clear it out so you didn't feel like you were somehow authorizing something while the cart was before the horse. So we want to put that in there. So looks like your lamp is working correctly.
It's getting brighter and brighter.
I'm going to shut off the light.
Go ahead, Connor. Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Connor Harmon with Highland Electric Fleets. I'm on our Fleet Solutions team. Really excited to talk to you about this exciting opportunity for Salida School District in a partnership that would be with Excel Energy and Highland Electric Fleets. So, as Dr. Blackburn mentioned, Salida has been awarded $1.4 million in funding from Excel Energy, and that's for electric school buses and charging infrastructure, with the key piece here being bidirectional charging infrastructure. That was a keystone for Excel to provide this funding. And so just a quick foundation, the graphic here shows you the typical way that an electric vehicle is charged. You're getting power from the grid, so I'm going right to left here. Getting power from the grid, it's going into the charger charges up the vehicle battery. What bidirectional does is allows that process to flow the other way. So it takes the stored energy of a battery, sends it back to the charger, and then it can either go back to the grid to provide grid services, or go back to a building to provide emergency backup power. So this is specifically the technology that Excel is really interested in pursuing, and they've been directed by the Public Utilities Commission to pursue this technology. So the scope of the project would be 2 electric school buses and 2 dedicated route chargers at the bus depot. So those vehicles have a dedicated charger to meet their daily routes. And then 1 bidirectional charger at the middle school, which is where we would do that bidirectional testing. And really, we're thinking that testing probably a 2-year pilot where we have really planned, coordinated efforts when there aren't students in the building to bring this vehicle to the charger, back up some lighting, some other critical loads, start small, but we're set up to keep building as we test the technology and see exactly how long we can power certain equipment. And then lastly, I'll just add that school buses are seen as a really good application for this bidirectional technology because they have larger batteries than your passenger vehicles, and they have very fixed, predictable duty cycles. So a few hours in the morning, a few hours in the evening, and then they're sitting idle a good portion of the day or in the summer to do this sort of testing and potentially provide those community benefits. And so this is just the site plan for the school bus depot. So those 2 blue buses are where the electric bus would be. And then you'd see there would be a new transformer and new electric chargers. Worked really closely with Evelyn here to make sure this fit her operations and her team. And then this is the plan for the middle school. So that bidirectional charger would go kind of in that rock pile at the back of the middle school. That'll be protected by a fence. There'll be other software measures on there just to make sure it's protected from students. And then we would run into that panel room there to a emergency critical load panel. And we're looking to back up lighting, some camera systems. And again, we'll add on to it as we see fit with the technology, but it's going to be built in a way where we can keep adding to those systems. So if we think there's enough capacity to add a backup refrigerator or something like that, we can do it. We're going to start small, pilot it, and work our way up from there. And again, this was the key point to get the Excel funding. The other districts that Dr. Blackford mentioned had 6 electric buses, which was the program minimum. And Excel made an exception for Salida to get 2 if we had this vehicle to building on it. And then the reason Highland is involved here, so Highland is a electrification as a service provider. So we are going to be the implementer of this project. We are working with Jeffco and Cherry Creek on their bidirectional projects. We've been doing V2G across the country for 3 years now, and doing a monthly program with utilities in doing that. And so Highland kind of spans the gamut when it comes to school bus electrification. Our goal is to take as much burden, technology risk off the district and really fix those costs associated with these vehicles. So it starts with incentives and securing that funding, planning vehicle charger procurement through building the site, then also working on training the staff, the drivers on these vehicles, and then Highland is there throughout the useful life of this vehicle. So for this project, it would be a 12-year contract. And so Highland is fixing and covering all electricity costs for fuel on these vehicles. Our charge management software gives Evelyn and her team insight into the health and the state of charge and where these vehicles are located. That's also what allows us to conduct these bidirectional charging events with Excel and provide them their reporting requirements. And then lastly, Highland is covering all repairs on these electric vehicles and the chargers themselves. So if a battery goes down, tires go down, anywhere between those two, Highland is paying for those repairs, both parts and the labor. And then this, I think this is just a good visual for what Highland tries to do. There can be a lot of variable costs when it comes with electrification, and Highland takes all of those services I just outlined into an annual fee on a per vehicle per year basis. It really takes that technology risk off the district and fixes the budget for these electric buses for the next 12 years. And then this is just a quick snapshot of where Highland operates. So we are across the country, a couple projects up in Canada, operate against a wide variety of climate conditions. We're in urban, suburban, rural communities. And as Dr. Blackburn just mentioned, of the other schools awarded under this Excel funding, Salida was the only rural district to get that funding. So it's a potentially really exciting opportunity for that. And we've been working with Peak to Peak Charter School in Lafayette, Colorado for the past 4 years on their electric fleet. We actually did the first test of bidirectional charging with the IC school bus, which is what we're using here with Excel about 2 years ago. And then we're going to get Jeffco and Cherry Creek off the ground this year as well.
And one thing I will note that is imperative in this funding is that the project needs to be live and operating by the end of 2026. So as you can imagine, if there is approval, we are kind of up and running to make sure that happens and can secure that funding for the district. And then another important part of what Highland does and part of our service offering is training your workforce. So there's comprehensive training for drivers, mechanics, staff, operation team, whoever needs that training, we do help provide it. And that will be in partnership with McCandless, who's the school bus dealer, to help provide that training. And that's on the chargers, on the vehicles, and the charge management software. And that last bullet point, we see a lot of bus drivers really do like driving electric buses. They're smoother, quieter, a calmer ride for them. So I will make no promise on driver retention, but it's something we have seen across the country that drivers really do like these vehicles.
And they're promising steak lunches when they do training.
Sneak that in.
Yeah,
I'm in for the
exactly.
training.
What do you say?
I'm in for the training.
Everyone's in. And then another cool opportunity that is an option if you work with Highland, it's not something we have to do. We've just got a lot of feedback from districts and we've started implementing it, is really using these vehicles as a STEM opportunity. A lot of districts see these buses as kind of a living laboratory to learn more about electric vehicle technology, whether that's a battery, that's electric motors, it's regenerative braking, kind of just incorporating some of that information into curriculum. And we work with curriculum partners to incorporate that if that's something districts are interested in. Happy to help provide it. And so this is the numbers piece. As I mentioned, all of those services we provide are meant to be encapsulating of everything you may see on an electric school bus. And all of that is in return for a base service price on a per year, per vehicle basis. And I will call out now, these numbers may fluctuate slightly as we get all the mileage numbers down, Dr. Blackman mentioned. I think the key thing to call out here is that this 2-year pilot period I was talking about, where we're really testing that bidirectional technology, Excel will be covering the first 2 years of the Highland contract. So essentially, if this project is approved and moved forward, that's 2 electric school buses, 2 dedicated chargers for those vehicles, and bidirectional technology to provide emergency backup power to the middle school, in which there would be no upfront cost to the district until year 3. So they'll call that 2028. And then below is the incentives that Excel is providing for this project. And then I may have gotten an older version of the presentation, but I don't know, Aaron or David, if you wanted to cover this slide.
Sure, I will. I thought this was important, so this is kind of the slide I asked to put in here, like how are we paying for it? So the currently, not currency, currently the district transfers out of general fund 80,000 a year to pay new buses every other year. Aaron and I and Evelyn were already preparing to come to you and say you need to increase that because the cost of buses continues to increase. The one we just bought was approximately 180.
The bus we just bought was 175,000. By next year, well, actually next year, this year, because of the new engine and the EPA standards going into the Cummins engines, prices will go up a lot. Because a new bus now, purchase a bus now would be $212,000.
And I know I had some board members just ask, is that how much it really costs? Depends how you shop, because if you ask what the base model is, meaning none of the things like we have to put retarders on our buses. That is an electromagnet that goes around the drive shaft, so you're not hitting the brakes going down passes. It allows you to slow down. Chains is those 2, and then you have to add seat belts in the first 3 rows.
First 2 to 4 rows.
Right, so there's a lot of things they don't have included in those base prices that, particularly the chains and the retarder and those seat belts. Those are 3 big ones that change the price of when you're talking to maybe other people.
And a magneto retarder, a cost for that on a bus is roughly $25,000. Because the chains will cost you now $8,000, a magneto retarder will cost you anywhere from $12,000 to $14,000 to install.
So those are just 2 items that you wouldn't think about. But so we reduced the transfer amount by 46.6. Just want to pause. Can you go back a slide real quick? We've been talking, a lot of you mentioned the mileage wasn't what we wanted on the kind of distance for these 2 routes. It's been working with Connor. They rewrote that. It would be approximately another $1,100 a year per bus to make the mileage correct, but Highland, we had a good argument today, and Highland said they would cut that in half. So when they were just saying rather than doing the 11, it would be $500. So I just want to name that those are those minor details as we're saying, wait a minute, the mileage needs to go up, and they're saying, great, cost needs to go up, and we're going through that contract negotiation stage. You can go back to that next slide. So I just wanted to name there is put another $1,000 on that effectively to 47.6. The 2028, that's what he mentioned, right? That's when we would start to pick it up. So we would the first 2 years we'd continue to transfer 80,000, and then in 2028 we would reduce to 33.4. So we'd have the 2 electric buses by this calendar year. They have to be in session or in working, and then it would be 4 years. You said, Aaron, right?
Yeah.
So
Because you're going to be averaging out, because you're going to get that full 80 the first couple of years. So basically every 4 years, it's still like most roughly. We'd have to do the math to see if we have to add a little bit, but that's the idea.
so
We'll be getting 3 buses in 4 years though, which is still faster than.
is still faster.
Much more fun.
Yeah. So in other words, we're not asking you to give more money. We're saying let's reinvest the dollar strategy we have into something now that I think also matches community values. And that's why we say there's a no cost increase, because you're taking a generic transfer and now you're specifically signing up, I'll say half of that over, but the first 2 years Excel is paying that, so you continue to bankroll those monies. So any questions on that?
So you're saying we would reduce the transfer amount and use that to pay for the new buses?
Right. Mm-hmm. So
Reduction. Yeah.
Yep. So you'd use the 80,000 you're spending right now, and in 2 years, I'm going to say cut in half, which might not be a fair way to say it. You cut that so that you just reroute this specifically to these leases, which is a service agreement. It's not for the buses.
But for the next 2 years, we'd still transfer the 80.
Correct.
And that would go towards a new bus that we could then buy in 3 years.
Yep.
Got
And
it.
you do have still, so after this year, you have 20 some odd $1,000, low 20s that'll be left in it after
Still in
the
there.
purchase of the bus. So in 2 years, you're gonna have 160 plus the 20, you'll have 180 after 2 years, and then 33 a year after that. And then we can continue to monitor pricing on buses at that point, and come back to you and say, this is the philosophy.
I did mention that might be some of those funds. We're talking about a new motor for one of the buses. They're 45,000. So that might be, that fund might also be paying for that, but we'd have to come back to you and go through the process to ask for those dollars. Okay.
I only had one more slide before questions, and it's just a example timeline. If this is approved and we're kicking off today, these are kind of all the steps we need to take on our end and manage these timelines to ensure this entire system is up and running, buses are operating by end of 2026. Meet Excel's timeline.
Any questions? You have Evelyn here, Aaron, Connor, myself that we can help. I know, Ben, you had a few questions. I don't know if you want to ask those.
I can. What is the 12-year buyout?
In terms of after 12 years?
Yeah.
So it essentially the fair market value. That's how it's written in the contract. So at the end, assess what the fair market value is. Most likely it's going to be $20, $30, $40. It's not meant to be a lot of money, and we'll know at that time, but it's fair market value, and that's needed for how Highland is taking some tax benefits on these vehicles. So there's accelerated depreciation and all these other things that Highland can take advantage of and pass those savings along to the district. And so at the end of 12 years, it's a fair market value buyout, and that would be for the entire system, could also just be the buses, if not the chargers as well.
So the charge would be a separate buyout?
It could all be in one, or it could be separate. It's just depending how it wants to be done with the district.
If it was a good deal to keep the chargers and that infrastructure, would another brand of bus work?
Yeah, so these are, all the chargers are operable with all the brands of school buses.
Okay.
At this time, I just want to name 12 years. I don't know where technology is going. Today, yes.
Well, assuming that it would work at 11 and a half years, we're hoping it'll work at 12 and a half too.
Right. That would be the goal.
The, so I have one question. I just, I didn't do a big organizational thing. Is there a difference between, the cost for registration of a bus and insurance for a bus, electric versus diesel?
Do you know I don't know the answer.
Actually, the registration will be the same because we register under the government, so the registration for a school bus is roughly, for the plates are about $15 a year. Registration, insurance is another kicker. I didn't even think about asking Sydney about that, so you might want to send her an email.
I can give you a generic answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't think it would cost any more than normal insurance would, as there is electric buses and electric vehicles already out there on the market and are being accepted by any and all insurance companies. I don't think if you have an electric car, you would pay more money for insurance.
We do at my house
Is
for
that because you park them inside?
Well, that's-
Most electric vehicles are parked inside. Most of them tell you to park to keep it warm.
warm enough in the winter. Yeah.
And you can catch on fire. Well, I mean, rarely. So there's.
Well, that's the threat.
Okay. I don't know anything else than what I just told you.
I would say
Compared to my other vehicle, similar.
higher, but I actually have not brought the fact that we have somebody. One of the problems with that is there's a higher repair cost in some cases. But if we have a contractor already paying with a service agreement, I would think that that would mitigate some of that for our insurance. So I'd have to ask the
Well,
insurance.
one thing is if you insure $175,000 unit versus insuring a $400,000 unit, you would imagine you'd be paying more for